Bob, you were saying earlier, November, one of the favorite months of the year. I have to agree. It's not too cold, not too hot. It's just
and the roads aren't that crowded quite yet.
You
start getting into December, and then January and February it starts to get a little busy around here. But nice weather typically, and also it's the last month of hurricane season, so things are winding down. Water temperatures are cooling.
That's the best reason of all.
Don't have to worry about major hurricanes or anything like that. Although there have been some in November, nothing threatening the United States. We did have one back in 1985 hit the panhandle of Florida. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Not a major storm, but a hurricane nonetheless in November. Van WEZEL webcam showing clear skies around today. Just a few fair weather cumulus clouds. Still a really nice day despite the fact temperatures are back to normal for the most part as far as highs go. Today's lows were in the mid-50s. Beautiful sunset expected tonight. Evening planner calling for fair skies through 11 o'clock, temperatures dropping down into the mid-60s, and then we'll see low temperatures down into the low 60s. So the cold weather is gone now, and now it's replaced by some mild conditions, or at least average conditions. Northport, you'll be at 59 degrees, 60 at Lakewood Ranch, 61 in Sarasota, 63 Braden in for a low tonight. Anna Maria right at 65, and the same on Longboat Key. And highs tomorrow will be back into the low 80s for most areas. Beaches will see highs into the upper 70s. No rainfall around the peninsula here. Some showers approaching the panhandle of Florida associated with a weak disturbance there. Not much to it. It's not going to move through here. It's going to stay pretty nice all the way through the weekend. Really nice, in fact. 74 degrees currently. Dew point is at 61. We have a west wind at 6. A little sea breeze has kicked in right near the coast, and the pressure at 30.07 inches. Still high. And the high today was 81, 1 degree shy of the average of 82. Actually, this morning's low was 56 degrees. That's well above, below average, but we'll see temperatures at about average tomorrow in the low 60s, and that's typical for this time of year. Well above average on the rainfall for the year. As we start off November, very dry. We're 15 plus inches above average so far for the year. Well, the hourly forecast for Thursday looks good, doesn't it? High temperatures right around 80 degrees by 4 o'clock in the afternoon after a pretty cool start into the upper 50s to low 60s. A temperature forecast does look nice to start the day off. In fact, by 9 o'clock, we'll be warming back up into near 70 degrees after lows I mentioned down in the low to mid 60s, and then highs in the afternoon will top out into the low 80s up and down the coast. And as far as that wind goes, it'll be very light for the most part, 5 to 10 miles an hour. That may allow for some patchy fog to form in places tomorrow morning, but should not be a big problem. And that fog problem really doesn't really kick in until winter months, and that's when we see the most problem with fog here down in the western portion of the state. Now, as far as the forecast goes, winds will stay out of the east and northeast, and that has a tendency to warm us up. And we get rid of that northerly component, and it looks as though we will see generally east to northeasterly winds over the upcoming days. There's that system to the north fading away. High pressure dominating the weather, maybe a few showers along the east coast, not a lot, but just a few for the east coast. Now, as far as the active hurricane season goes, well, there it is. Philippe, the last storm we're hoping anyway, although Rena, there's a chance for it. In the past many, many years, since 1851, there have been 3 hurricanes that hit the U.S. in November. One in the Panhandle right there, also of the southeast Florida, and one along the Carolina coast. So it's rare, it does happen. Nothing going on there right now. All is quiet in the tropics. East winds turn to the north at 10 knots. Seas running less than 2 feet. And a light chop on the bays and inland waters. The water temperature now 72 degrees. UV index will be high tomorrow at 12. Tides upcoming for Sarasota Bay. High tide at 11:16. And sunset at 6:47. Sunrise at 7:42. Mostly fair, not as cool. 61 for a low. And then tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Back to normal highs in the low 80s. And then the extended forecast calls for little change over the weekend. The only change, again, is changing the clock back 1 hour before you go to bed on Saturday. Scott?